You are not your mind. What prompted this video is I saw something recently, somebody very famous, very well respected, and very influential in this material world that we live in. And the argument that was being made was essentially the following: you can transplant a lot of parts of the human body, say a kidney, even a heart, and survive. You cannot transplant a brain. I don't even know if that's true or not, but this was the argument. And so, therefore, you are your brain, you are your mind. That's the essence of who you are, because you can swap out the other parts. This isn't a new thought. Descartes postulated long ago, theorized, philosophized, I guess. I think, therefore I am. I totally disagree. I am, therefore I think. So I'm not a scientist, and I'm not here to get into like the nitty gritty of this. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this topic for what they're worth, and they're based on my lived experience. So in my mind, in my opinion, it's funny that I would choose the word mind there. In my opinion, one of the biggest problems, or amongst the biggest problems and challenges that we face as a civilization, are scientism, and materialism. We are so focused on the physical reality that we forget about what else exists. And frankly, I would argue that the physical reality is the least important of all of the things. So let me get a little more clear. They do go hand in hand, right? Materialism and scientism, they go hand in hand. In Western civilization, Western medicine, intellectual thinking, there is a tendency towards thinking of the human body, the human experience, as a physical thing. And we can't understand we're here. Things happen firing neurons, and it's randomness. And, we've evolved to this state where we've got these physical capabilities and characteristics, and the body's a machine. And if the chemicals and the parts and the balances and it's like, if you need a new transmission, you take the transmission out, you put a new one in, right? That's this whole line of reasoning, right? That you are your mind, or I think, therefore I am. And again, I completely disagree. The human body is part of the physical experience, but the experience here is so much more than that. I would argue that we are, in fact, spiritual beings having a physical experience. We seed these bodies with our spirit and have a physical experience. And then after the body dies, we go on and do other things. This is why the ego is scared to death of death, right? The ego knows it's impermanent. The ego knows, the mind, the thinking mind knows it does not go on beyond this experience. The spirit, however, knows it does and is patient and, frankly, nonplussed by a lot of the suffering that happens in the physical. So ancient teachings have taught this. Ancient practices, religions, etc., have taught this for many, many thousands of years, I would argue. And this is across geography, across cultures, have talked about the spirit, the energetic side of the human experience. Today, we suppress this. We focus on the material, but in fact, we are electromagnetic beings having a physical experience. So this is why so much of meditation, mindfulness, spiritual practices really boil down to, how do you quiet the mind? See, this is the opposite of being the mind. The ego and I know this from lots of personal experience, a very hyperactive mind, living in the ego and the material for a large portion of my life. And the point is to quiet this stuff down so that we can hear spirit, so we can hear God speaking to us, so that we can have an experience that is a spiritual experience, not just the physical experience. Not that we're not here to have the physical experience. We are. But it's the spiritual experience that is the reason that we're here. We have energy centers called chakras. There's at least 7 major ones. Some say 12, others say thousands. We have energy centers that we don't talk about in medicine. We don't talk about how do you heal the solar plexus, right? We talk about gut health. That's the physical versus the spiritual. There are many fields in spiritual teachings. Some of the etheric, emotional, mental, spiritual. There's mental again. It is a part of us, but it does not define who we are or what we are in this experience. We are also the physical. So we are emotional, mental, etheric, spiritual, and physical. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. The mind, the brain is a powerful tool, extremely powerful tool, but it is not who you are. You are the observer, the one who seeks to quiet the mind, to hear the voice of spirit, to have a spiritual experience inside a physical body.